Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conscious Conversations. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm the founder of the Transformation Center, which is located in Westport, Connecticut. And at the center, we do a variety of classes, workshops, we even have sound baths in the backyard during the warmer months. And in addition to that, I have individual sessions. So I'm a transformation coach and also a shamanic energy healer. And all of this information is on our website. We're going to put up the contact slide so you can see how to contact us. And it's basically just transformationcenterct for Connecticut.com. So reach out if you'd like to find out more about it. And everything we do at this center is really based on having you discover more of who you truly are and let go of what you're not, which is really a wonderful thing. So thanks for being here today on Conscious Conversations, and I'm very excited. My guest is Brian Buturla. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you for having me here today, Katie. I'm really excited to talk with you.
Yeah, I'm pleased. I'm happy that I even met you to begin with, not that long ago, and now I'm going to learn all about what you do. So this is really great. I'm going to read a little bit about you before we get started, okay, what you sent me, so our audience can also hear about you. And we're going to put up your slide with your contact info as well so they can know how to reach out to you. Okay, so Brian Buturla is the creator of Brian Buturla Studios. His signature private studio for personal training and therapeutic yoga has been located in Norwalk, Connecticut for 30 years. Wow, you must have started like when you were 2 years old or something.
Thank you. I'll just say thank you.
Yeah. All right, and Brian is affectionately known in his community as Yogi Brian, not Yogi Bear. Okay, so Brian is a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer, corrective exercise specialist, performance enhancement specialist, and certified nutrition coach. Wow, that's a lot. Must have done a lot of training for all of that. And I love this. He defines his life's work as, quote, helping people rehabilitate their injuries, restore their lost mobility, and increase their true functional strength. I mean, that's really awesome that you can help people with that. I love that. Not only that, Brian is a 1,000-hour Dharma Yoga registered teacher who offers private yoga instruction to individuals seeking transformative mental, physical, and spiritual enlightenment. So this really adds a whole nother layer to what you do.
Yeah. The spirituality part of it, being a yoga teacher, really adds the icing to the cake. If a student is ready to practice, yoga is definitely the way to dive in. If you have some faith established, that's great. And if you need something, that's where we begin with yoga, if someone's ready.
Yeah.
And that is really a privilege to help someone with not only their body and their mind, their sleep and their eating habits, but also with their core belief, what they believe in.
Getting in touch with their true self, just like I mentioned a second ago.
Really finding out who they are is exactly what we have in common.
No accident there. And I just want to read this last thing that you sent me, because he says his life mission is to help you make an unbreakable connection to your higher self.
That's what I do.
Love it.
I've had some good teachers myself.
Yeah. Well, that's really helpful, of course. And so, I'd like to start with the question that I asked my guest. Like, how did you get started in this field? For you, it's health and fitness.
So you said it was 2 years old, but it was actually 8 years old.
When you got started?
It was
well, it was close.
It was close. One Christmas, my father gave me a gift of a simple weight bench, a barbell, and 2 dumbbells.
At 8 years old?
At 8 years old. And ever since that first repetition, something ignited in my body. I felt a surge. My mind was more clear and my spirit soared. I felt absolutely amazing. And, it's through the process of exercise and training that was really, it was beyond exercise. So training with the weights was a portal to personal growth and well-being and having life a little bit sweeter and more manageable and easier go at it.
Yeah. So you really gravitated towards it. Did you have a trainer? You said you were training. Did somebody show you how to do it? Or
that came later in life.
Okay, so you were just kind of doing
So,
it on your
there
own?
was a lot of time I spent on my own until it was the summer before I went to college. So there's a lot of work and work out and visits and trainers and teachers in the midtime in the meantime. But I specifically remember another time that I opened a newspaper and saw an ad for World Gym Plus, which was in Trumbull, and this was the mid '80s where everything was booming. And this facility was nothing short of a miracle for the time period it was created. It had a hair cutters, it had a jewelry store, it had a chiropractor. I was working at a hard body cafes, and it had every single machinery under the sun. So one summer from college, I came back and wanted to be a trainer and had to get certified. So we did that. But there was also another special room in the back.
Yeah.
And that room was very special. It was quiet like this room. Yeah. It had exercise piece of equipment and a circuit type of environment. And there were pneumatic air training equipment. And 3 or 4 people would come in for the day, and the trainer may pull you off the equipment instead of have you do the circuit. He may have you do an exercise in the middle of the room. He knows you, knows your goals, knows what you're after, and then send you back into the circuit. So that room it was called the PACE room. Progressive aerobic conditioning exercises. In that room, you could control the lights and the air temperature and the sound, and it wasn't like this big booming place, this big shopping mall with all sorts of scents and people and experiences that you couldn't control. And that really was my business model. You have to recreate that to be able to get quiet, listen to the student, and deliver. From the center of a space.
Well, yeah, so that totally makes sense because now you have your own private.
That was the model for my space.
So that's how it came to you? To do it
that
that
one
way?
single room and a few good teachers, encouraged me to use the room rather than stay out of the room.
Don't you love how that happens? It's just like there's no coincidences that you discovered that.
There's a few people in your life that you will meet that will want to see you soar and build you up.
Yeah.
That's really a gift when God puts those people in your path.
Well, I think that's how it works. From my experience, that's what happens. We do meet the people that we're meant to meet to further our soul's evolution and our purpose for being here on Earth. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. So it wasn't an accident that you met the people that you met.
Right,
You went
right.
in each room,
I remember there was one really good trainer of the management and the business team. He was the general manager there. His name was John. And John instilled a culture that there were people coming from Stanford, World Wrestling Federation wrestlers, but there were also seniors training right next to these people. So the value of the person, of a teenage person trying to improve their tennis game would be training. So it was very eclectic. There were all walks of life there. John embraced everybody. I know John had great teachers and trainers because I met his parents, but he instilled this mentality through the club. And I'll tell you a story. One day I was back in the PACE room where the chiropractic's office was, and the chiropractor left a few athletic training tables set up, and we were using these tables without his permission. And the chiropractor said, I don't appreciate that. Would you please ask me next time? No problem. We'll stay off the tables. Week later, the chiropractor came up to me and said, would you like to learn some stretching on the table? Would you like to learn some stretching table? So I know John got to him too. And really, it takes a type of person to understand how to progress going forward. Everybody in that place was so progressive and building everybody up.
Does it still exist?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't exist, but I have a special appointment with my guru, John, actually on the schedule next week. So I'm very excited for Chapter 2 that he wants to include me in, that he's not disclosing at this moment. But you could understand it's going to be very transformational.
Awesome.
So that's what's new and exciting for me.
Wow. Yeah, well, maybe there's something there that you can incorporate into what you have now.
Right, so he's going to see the model, and I actually told him, I said, John, I did everything you did, but I just shrunk it. I shrunk the model. I threw out all the distractions, such as the other trainer teams and the wait time for the equipment,
right.
And all the other sales and marketing and front desk went out with this creation, because he was the one who really listened to me and heard what I had planned for the industry. I said, so he said, go ahead, use the room. Take a look. He looked at something different. He heard what it was I had for a vision, and I actually made a successful model out of his model and his understanding. But also, taking away the things that were distracting, such as the tanning beds, or, I like to go out to gyms too. And I was at one the other day, and somebody was vaping on the turf. So taking out the smell, controlling the smells, controlling the light, controlling the music, controlling the environment, so somebody feels like they're home is really the model I used. And it still is pretty successful, because when you're comfortable, you can do anything.
Well, that's great, and I love the way you were talking about that he heard you, he was listening, and that empowered you. It feels like
many
to me.
good teachers along the way have heard and seen me in one way or another. But when you really get quiet, there's that chance for the bliss to extra flow and the spirit to extra soar.
Yeah, like when you really feel seen and heard. I think that's what brings out the best in us as humans, because we feel that universal love feeling. It's not like a romantic thing, but it's just like acceptance, love.
I can't stop feeling that way. That feeling that you're describing is my whole business model. Brian Buturla Studios was built on that feeling of seeing you, knowing your stress levels, knowing what your injuries are, knowing what you can't even express yet in words, and giving you exactly what you need in the manner that you need it, the way you want to be trained, actually. So there's many different ways to train somebody, but your way that you're most comfortable with is what I like to do.
Yeah, no, I think that's very valuable, and especially in this day and age, your individualized approach. So how are the results different, like the way you work compared to a gym? Like, what's the
I like
difference?
Anyone with 25 years experience, a quarter century, is probably who someone should seek out when they're looking for a yoga teacher or a personal trainer. And you're buying time, you're transcending. A lot of people can't even make it to my studio, so they'll virtual in. Stanford and all over the world, people don't have time to come literally from Stanford to Norwalk if they're busy executives. So they'll patch in.
Do it online.
And that's how we do it, and it saves her the commute, and she presses the button, she gets trainer, she gets yoga teacher, whatever she wants that night, and she does it without the commute. She ends up saving time, and a lot of executives, they directly relate their time to their finances, and so they actually save money and they transcend the time thing.
No, I would think that would be very helpful to have that option. I mean, even if you're close by,
So
you
that's
might
what a
want to
private
do it.
studio, there's, like I said, there's no waiting. You jump into the studio, everything's immediately available for you. If you feel like turning on the music and listening to rock and roll, that's fine. You want to shut the lights, dim everything down, and hear some Buddhist singing bowl chants and practice deep healing, relaxation, meditation, breathing exercise. You got to unwind. You had a stressful day. There's no waiting for a class to finish before you can enter the room. It's there, it's available, and it's instantly available for you.
Wow. So I'm curious, like, how do you, because you have so many different modalities that you offer, with the strength training, the other mobility training, the yoga, how do you incorporate all of that, or do you incorporate all of that?
So that's a great question. How do you incorporate mobility with strength training and yoga? How do you do that for someone? Well, it all starts with a personal assessment. So you check the person, you make sure their wheels are on tight. Do they have a back injury that they're not telling you about that they happen to tell you about in a couple of exercises? You take a full assessment. Maybe a wrist, it may be a tech neck thing that you're dealing with. So you assess the person for their strengths and their weaknesses, and basically it's the trainer, it's the yoga teacher's job to say, okay, if you don't like the word, if you don't like the Sanskrit language, we don't practice yoga, we don't call the poses, but we still may give you something specifically for your hamstring and the corrective exercise model. So where the person's most comfortable, I like telling them it's a fitness cruise. You're going to pull into all these different ports. One of them may be called mobility training, and that may help you climb the stairs better or pick up your grandkids or get in and out of your car better. But that may be to somebody else who likes to practice yoga, something called sun salutation, vinyasa, finished poses. And if that's not your cup of tea, we know how to deliver Turkish get-ups too, and that's a little bit more brutal. Or if somebody wants something more traditional, it's dumbbells and barbells and functional, gravitational training, mobility training. It's all there. So again, where is the person gravitating towards? What are they comfortable with? And to answer your question more exactly, what is the precise exercise that they need to be doing through precise selection? And that's the secret sauce, so to speak.
Yeah.
To tie it all together.
Yeah, but it's definitely individualized.
It has to be. It's completely customized.
Totally, sounds like. Yeah, and then the results, how do you measure results? And
that's a great question. Yeah. One lady that I started training this year had enormous goals for herself and trained at all the big clubs in New York City and Switzerland even. She was very traveled around the world, and she had all these exact goals. And she comes in this year with no goals. She's got 3 kids and pickups and driving. She's got that magic window of time. And she just is getting the result of her life with nothing sustainable on the table. And I told her one day, I said her name, and I won't say her name. I said, so-and-so, bliss is the first goal. And I saw where a couple pieces needed to come together for that. So the first lesson is bliss. And then once you shift someone to that, they're very comfortable. They can do anything. And the second lesson is you have to actually do the work. You have to maintain that bliss. You have to do the exercise. You have to show up every week. And that leads to better well-being and better consciousness and a more loving wife and a more loving mother and somebody who's truly present for their family and themselves.
Yeah. So if somebody can only, say, afford to come once a week, then do you give them things that they can do at home on their
we have
own?
all sorts of apps and video exercise and ways to prescribe exercise that the person, again, is mostly shaded towards. They could have their homework as 2 or 3 things texted to them, or they could have a very detailed microcycle and mesocycle to plan them through the year, depending on, again, their goals, if they're a performance athlete or if they're just someone that wants to reduce stress and relax and be able to control their heart rate and breathe better.
Right. Okay. So you work with all levels, it sounds like.
Yeah, and it makes it interesting. It makes it an interesting day.
Yeah, from beginners to elite athletes. That's
and
amazing.
I love seniors, because they're easy to get down on the ground and stretch with and really teach from a personal perspective. And that type of session will never wear you out, and it always builds you up and just completely restores you. So the older adult session is something that I like to say I specialize in, but I will take the high school football and other athletes through the ringer, and I know exactly how to do that. Puts a smile on my face. That helps me feel more like myself too. So it's a healthy balance.
You can kind of relive your youth.
Could, a little bit, definitely.
That's great. So it's not only all levels, it's all ages.
Right. So it makes it, like I said, an interesting mix of people who want to train. I'm here for everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's terrific that you have that expertise and that desire to help everyone, because it sounds like what I'm getting is that you are very passionate about what you do.
When somebody puts their hand up for help and graces your business and says, I'm all yours, you can't help but seeing yourself in them. And little does that person know, they think they have to come in good or be perfect. When that person gives it to you, it's an honor. They're more than a student. They're not a client. They're a family member, and I treat them as such, as if you were my big brother or little sister that needed to win a tennis championship or whatever it is you want to accomplish. We get it done.
Yeah. So you take
the team.
Yeah. So you take it personally.
It's
Wow. So you talked about having seniors as not clients, but that you work with.
Students, right.
Students. So is there some misconception about aging that is relevant to this conversation?
You're getting deep into the woods here. This is a slippery slope conversation, and I'm going to answer it to the best of my ability.
Okay.
So we have two camps in health and fitness. I majored in healthcare administration, and I'm more on the natural side of doing things. I didn't go to school for surgery, and I'm not a pharmacist. So the drugs and surgery camp and that Western type of quick fix does work sometimes, but most of the times you can't take a drug that will help you improve your concentration and study without total burnout or other energetic problems.
Another side effect.
Yeah, and all the weight loss drugs have all those side effects too. So we do need drugs and surgery for car accidents and other very important times in our life. But I am in the camp of, if you want to do it naturally, you want to see what happens next season, you want to put the work in, you have patience, I believe I could get your meniscus not to flap and a core strength around your knee so strong that you may not want to do that surgery. But again, everyone is in the immediate camp of let's get it done. But if you, again, put the work in, you may witness a miracle that I've seen so many times, and know that it may be possible to do this the natural way with things like herbs and Ayurveda or clean dieting and regular cardiovascular and strength training programming.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much in that camp as well. And
we all want to be for as long as we possibly can.
But I'm also in the preventative camp. Not, I don't know if it's called preventative medicine.
Sure is.
It's what real health care is. Not sick care, but health care, right?
Let's age differently is the name of the game here.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about.
And I think that's why, everything that I do is to that end. So my fitness, my diet, my supplements, whatever. It's like, no, I'm not sick. Because like people are shocked when I don't have a doctor. Well, I hope, when I need one, I can get one. But I feel like it's important to go to a gym, go to a trainer, so I don't have an injury, rather than go to you after I have an injury.
So how do we clone your mindset and make 100?
I don't know. Maybe it's not American. I don't know.
It is a special type of person that wants to do it the right way. And there's more and more consciousness moving in that direction.
Well, I think that our whole healthcare industry has to shift to have that be a universal mindset, because they're not healthcare, they're sick care. So they're not paying for me to go to the gym. They're not paying for me to go to my acupuncturist or for my supplements or vitamins,
in the healthcare, insurance, reimbursement, defense, they are paying for me to see a nutritionist. So I am a certified nutritional coach, but I am not a licensed nutritionist. So when I need some information, I'm very happy that my insurance company is doing that. So there is a bigger shift to preventative care.
They may be trying,
because it's less dollars on the back end for them, and that's what it comes down to.
Oh, totally. That's so true. And I think though that
it's cheaper to keep you healthy than to treat you when you're sick. And
they're
beginning to understand that model, and they're shifting to that more. Traditional,
right? But the traditional medical professionals don't like that model because, not so many people would get sick to go to them in the first place, right?
Yeah, so it's the healthcare administration field that I chose to create healthcare in 4 different walls, then be an administrator of a hospital or a long-term care center or a doctor's office. We need all these places as we age, and I'd like to stay in the gyms and out of the long-term care centers and out of the hospitals. It's pay now or pay later type of idea. So it's much easier to do the work while you're healthy.
Yeah, well, let's just keep getting that message out there. But one thing I want to ask you before we wrap up, we have about another 4 minutes or so. What is one small change that someone who's interested in this kind of model could make, like at home or today, to help themselves?
So stress and anxiety and burnout are the biggest things I see across the board. Over the last couple years, when I would train a younger person at college or younger, I would ask them, what do you want to do today? Do you want to practice some yoga and breathing, or do you want to go strength training? There's been a dramatic shift to downshifting and getting in touch with themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that never was before. They would always need to move or pound a medicine ball or do a plyometric jump until they're dead. But now they realize we are coming in dead. We really need to. And I'll show you exactly what I do with someone like that. We immediately take away the most used sense, the eyes. And there's 3 energy centers, being the head, the heart, and the belly. So we immediately connect them to their heart and lungs and say, hey, can you breathe just a little slower? Can you let your heartbeat be just one more beat slower? Can you place one hand on your abdomen and balance to your gut? You have a brain down there, right? So it's head, heart, and belly. And however you arrange your hands, you're on the mental or emotional, from the emotional to the mental, right? Just connecting these points or giving us small energetic points in the head, rearranging the energy in the brain, or giving a small little yoga facial or massage there. You're checking in. I could do this if I'm an executive in my office. I could spin my chair backwards and take that one connecting breath back to myself. And then in that moment, this is really the first exercise I spoke about, creating bliss. I'm getting back to myself. I'm finding what is real. And once I make that connection back to my true self, I'm ready to come back to the world. So I would gently direct my eyes down towards the ground and come back to the studio when I am ready. So that's operating on my time rather than following the pace of the world. And that's one thing someone could immediately do to get back to themselves and then find their own place securely in the world.
That's beautiful. Feel more peaceful already.
Thanks. Want to do it again? You could do it all day.
Yeah.
And that's really my honor to do that with people like you and other people who are receptive. So thank you.
Yeah, no, this is great. I think that, to learn that you can do that at home anytime. Like you said, if you're an executive at your desk, if you're
pre-test moment before SAT.
in school, whenever, I like to do that first thing in the morning, something similar to that.
Yeah, and that could be very extended and very sweeter
Right.
than what we just showed.
Connecting to your heart, connecting to your breath, connecting to your true self, and also bringing in the light, from above, connecting to the earth, all of those things.
When you shift, when you get quiet, then really, what's next? What's next is the spiritual lessons.
Yeah, then you can broaden it from there.
It's very easy
go deeper,
to jump, have a conversation with your higher being from that point. When you're quiet and everything else in your life is organized, it gives you a chance to organize things. And then once order has been brought to everything, then you're on to what's next. And what's next is that higher self connection to spirit and source.
Yeah. Aligning with yourself, with your higher self. Yeah. It's all there.
I see it in your eyes.
Yeah, right.
You got it, Katie.
Same.
Good job.
Yeah, well, this was wonderful talking to you and learning more about everything that you do. And we have about a little bit less than a minute left. Is there anything you want to share before we wrap up that you didn't already share?
I'm just really grateful for being here and meeting my teachers along the way. So I'd like to say, if you don't have a teacher, if you don't have a yoga teacher, and you don't have a personal trainer, there's one thing you have to remember, and that's my.com. And it's very simple. It's just privatestudio.com.
Oh, good. So people can reach out to you there. All right. Well, thanks again for being here, and thank you to our audience for being here on Conscious Conversations. And thank you to the Westport Library for hosting us at Verso Studios. Love you guys, and we'll see you the next time. Namaste.